It's time to take a journey through Sig Daddy's mind on Sig Daddy's Wrestling Show. Here's Sig Daddy.
Hello and welcome into another episode of Sig Daddy's Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Sig Daddy, and today is my week in review, my weekly series that's been going on for a couple of weeks now, but where we go over Raw, NWA Powerrr, and then AEW Dynamite. But before I get to that, I will have a review for the upcoming pay-per-view AEW Full Gear that's coming up this Saturday. Some of the main matches on there include Chris Jericho and Cody for the AEW World Championship, SCU versus the Lucha Brothers versus Private Party for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in a lights out unsanctioned match. Also on that card includes Pac and Hangman Page battling. Should be a fun pay-per-view this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to actually watch it. There's going to be some of those matches are going to be really, really good, I have a feeling. And also the Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz. But let's get started on this with the Raw analysis. Starting out with a Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman promo explaining why they jumped Raw and such, and it was alright, but then there was an okay Charlotte and Natty match against the Kabuki Warriors. I don't know why the Kabuki Warriors took a loss here, but there's not really any tag teams right now that are in contention for those women's tag team championships, and there was a promo segment making us wonder what Rollins is going to do with the NXT, seeing if he's going to jump over to the NXT group and stuff, and the Undisputed Era coming out, and the OC and Raw roster, which set up, it was just a brawl between these two teams, set up a match with Cole and Rollins for the NXT Championship later on in the night. And then also on that card, it was an alright match between Murphy and Alexander. A lot of this, what I'm saying is the NXT stuff was very, very good on this show, and the Raw stuff was passable. And then also, Murphy and Alexander had a short match. Murphy got the win there. I wish they got a little more of an opportunity to showcase themselves. And then it was Sin Cara and Catalina versus Andrade and Selena Vega. It was nothing special. Andrade and Selena got the win as they should. And I think they need for Andrade to get a little bit more credible opponents. I don't know. It's just they're building him up to be something big on big on Raw since he was such a high draft pick, but they really haven't done anything with him yet. And I don't. It seems like they don't have any direction for him and any big name for him to face right now. But they keep their momentum going. And then also on that card was Rusev and McIntyre. I'm over this angle already. But they had an alright match with an expected DQ finish. Lashley getting involved because he tore his groin doing stuff with Lana and such. But then Orton came in after the DQ finish with an RKO. And then they're kind of beating up on Rusev. At least it sets up something later on. Ricochet makes the save and such. So Ricochet's got Rusev's back, and it's probably going to set up a tag match between Rusev and Ricochet and Lashley and Orton next week. And then there was a backstage interview with Charlotte and Becky. It was, and then Shayna Baszler got involved, which was absolutely awesome. She hijacked the interview, and it really sets up the triple threat and making it feel like a big deal when at least Shayna and Becky meet up in this match. And it seems like they're making Bayley as the outsider and wild card in this match. And it also makes it feel like Bayley, she's going to be the one that sneaks in and gets the win at Survivor Series, as Lynch and Baszler will be too focused on one another, since Baszler's got a history with Ronda Rousey and with the 4 horsewomen of MMA, and Becky Lynch and her history with the 4 horsewomen in WWE. After that was a kind of a Street Profits and Humberto promo with the setting up their match with the club, and it so far it doesn't feel like Carrillo's clicking with the fans, but it's 3 times that Carrillo's been pinned. He got pinned in this match. He got pinned by Styles. He's been pinned 3 times on the main roster by by 2 very good guys, Styles and then also Rollins. But I understood why they try to get him with the Street Profits to get him over, because he's not clicking with fans so far. And the Street Profits are over with fans. And I gotta address something. This crowd was, I think it was in Long Island. They were absolutely terrible. They did not like anything, and they were not into anything all night really. And then on top all that off, Cole and Rollins, they had a match for the NXT Championship, and when Adam Cole made his entrance, people weren't even doing the Adam Cole Bebe thing. How? And then the Cole Rollins match, they were having a good match until, as expected, the Undisputed Era interfered, which caused a huge melee to end Raw. It might have been a good idea holding this off on the NXT decimating Raw. I hope it happens here soon, so feels like NXT's really a threat to Raw, which brings me back to that SmackDown thing where everyone couldn't get back from Saudi Arabia. It was the perfect setup for that. It was the perfect time to do it and start the setup for Survivor Series. And NXT stole SmackDown, and that was one of the best SmackDown shows I'd seen in a while, even though I don't get to really see a whole lot of SmackDown. But I've heard, from what I heard, it was probably one of the best SmackDowns in quite a while, because they shook it up and changed the formula on that. But finishing up on the Raw analysis, it was better than what it's been in the last few weeks. The NXT stuff really clicked, like the promo at the beginning with Triple H and Rollins, and then also the Becky and Shayna Baszler interview. I really liked that too. And then the Cole and Rollins match for the NXT Championship was good until the DQ finish. But yeah, it was an alright episode of Raw. Nothing special, but better than it's been in the last few weeks. Which moves me to NWA Powerrr. Colt Cabana comes out to start it. Short and effective little interview, just kind of getting people hyped up for his match later on in the night for the national title against James Storm, which he earned last week, winning in a tag team match. And there was another Aaron Stevens promo. He wanted another match with Starks, which he later, a more traditional NWA style match, which turned out to be a 2 out of 3 falls. His heel character is very, very good. He revealed that he's a cousin of Shakespeare, and supposedly he says he has a contract from Hollywood, and if he doesn't get his demands, he's leaving pro wrestling. But it was pretty good promo segment there from Aaron Stevens once again. And then we got the Dawsons versus Mims and Kingsley. It was a nice little squash there for the Dawsons to kind of establish their dominance more so. And then they demanded a tag title match after their win. Kingston and Homicide interrupted their interview, and Homicide and Kingston actually said they were willing to put up the tag title shot to face the Dawsons one more time. And then the Dawsons said they'll think about it. It was a nice way to set it up, a tag match possibly later in the night. Tim Storms, he has an interview with Joe Galli. Just kind of talking about how he's in a big crossroads without having another NWA World Championship shot. He's not really sure about the titles in the future. And then I thought this was another very effective segment. And then all this comes out to interview, and he interrupts the interview, and he's just telling him, he's like, "You still got this, man. You got." Saying none of this happens at the NWA studio show without them both, and he's telling him, "Don't let." He doesn't trust Eli Drake. That Aldis doesn't, and he tells him that everything is possible. I think this is another effective segment. It almost makes me think that Tim Storm possibly is going to turn heel, or Eli Drake. I think all this is heading more towards the heel thing, as Eli Drake was actually willing to help him, but I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I'm really interested. It's very intriguing, though. A good promo segment again. And then Ashley Vox versus Thunder Rosa. I love Thunder Rosa's look. It's really cool. I thought it was a nice debut and showcase for her, immediately establishing her as a top heel. And then it teased an alignment with her and Marty Bell. I thought that was very, very good little segment. Good win for Rosa to get her kind of establish her as a top heel here. And then right after that was a Marty Bell promo talking about her best friend, how she kind of feels betrayed by Allison Kay. And then Kay jumped out and said, "You could have came to me and said this to my face or such." But then Rosa jumps her as Bell kind of looks on, and then Bell hesitates and then finally attacks Kay. And I thought it was a good segment building off what happened last week. Bell joins and aligns with Thunder Rosa, and Allison Kay's outnumbered right now, so she'll have to find herself kind of a comrade to work with to combat Rosa and Marty Bell. And then we got another Starks and Stevens the rematch from last week, 2 out of 3 falls. Oh my gosh, what was Aaron Stevens even wearing? It was like nude colored tights, which were absolutely positively terrible. Oh my goodness, I don't even know what they were, but it was interesting to see as Stevens got beat 2 falls in a row, which is kind of showing how he's has a lot of ring rust still, and he's got to find a way to get a win somehow. And it's probably going to be by nefarious means here soon, but it's continuing the story of Aaron Stevens just not getting it done in the ring. But does he go back to Hollywood after this? Because he's having his wrestling's not working out. We'll have to see, actually. But it continues on the story. Starks getting another win over a solid opponent in Stevens. And then we had James Storm with Eli Drake versus Colt Cabana with Ken Anderson for the NWA National title. It was an all-right match. Colt Cabana actually gets the win and gets the NWA National title. But at the end of the match, it was like Camille pushed Eli Drake into Anderson. And then after that, Storm said he'll see him around soon. That's Cabana. But that was actually not the main event. It was supposed to be the main event, but Camille continues to kind of do, I think, Nick Aldis's dirty work there and took out Eli Drake. Interesting to see Cabana get the win for the NWA National Championship. All right, match, nothing special, but it was kind of a weird because it seemed like they did a lot of editing in that last bit because it looked like it just kind of jumped from one spot to the next. But yeah, it was just kind of a weird thing with it jumping right after Camille pushed Eli Drake into Ken Anderson. I kind of weird. I don't know. But then right after that, the Dawsons came back and they wanted their match now with Homicide and Kingston. Got it. Wild Card actually gets in and interrupts but then Rock and Roll Express comes out to even the odds, and Homicide and Kingston get their win back. And then it was a solid. I thought it was a solid tag match. Continues the issues from last week and extends the story, which sets up a possible maybe 4-on-4 tag match later, or it sets up Rock and Roll Express maybe against Wild Card here later on. But first, Kingston and Homicide. They get their match against Wild Card for the World Tag Championships. But I thought this was a solid show overall. Once again, NWA Powerrr doing what they do, always putting out solid shows. And I thought it was a decent show, better than Raw. And then this brings me to AEW Dynamite, which took place last night. It started out really hot. Pac and Trent with Orange Cassidy and Chucky T. But a really good match to start the night. The crowd they were in Flair Country, which is Charlotte, but crowd was great last night. They were very into about everything, but one thing I took from this match is Trent is seriously underrated. Trent looked really good in defeat here, but Pac, he gets his momentum going into Full Gear match. But that DDT that Trent hit with the Tornado DDT, oh my gosh, the sell by Pac was freaking amazing. But it was a really good match to start out the show. But other than the official screwing up the count at the end, because he should have counted 3, and then Pac ended up getting mad, putting the brutalizer in, which finished it. But other than the ref screw up, it was very, very good to start out the night. And then Tony Schiavone interviews Cody, giving his big announcement of if he doesn't defeat Chris Jericho at Full Gear, he will never challenge for the AEW World Championship again. And he's talking about how much they pretty much both grew up with the same silver spoon in their mouth. And it was just a great impassioned promo from Cody. Really, he raises the stakes for the match. It didn't feel scripted. It felt real, that's something we're lacking in professional wrestling right now. But it also set up, the ending also set up a meeting possibly with the two factions, the Elite and then the Inner Circle. Really good promo segment from Cody. Really raises the stakes for Full Gear, and it really makes me want to see that match coming up this Saturday. Up next was Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn versus the Dark Order. And then the winning team of this match got inserted as the third team in the Full Gear World Tag Team Championship match between the Lucha Brothers and then SCU. And one thing I've taken away from the Dark Order so far is I really don't understand their motivation. I don't know, maybe a video package might help them, might make people understand them more, might help them get their more over as a heel tag team. But it was some good tag. They're a good tag team, Dark Order is. Don't get me wrong. They are a very good tag team with some great offense. But Private Party's also very fun to watch. We kind of get what they're kind of the party guys and kind of just out to have fun, really. But I really liked how this, there was one part of this match where I really liked how the hot tag didn't work initially. It was because I think it was Mark Quinn that got in, and then he rushes in, he gets freaking demolished. Eventually gets the comeback, but I liked how they didn't just go to the hot tag and then kind of go to the finish. But Grayson, he was very athletic. I really like him. But the Private Party got the win. Makes the sense that the more over teams in this three-way tag team championship match. But it sets up for a heck of a three-way at Full Gear. I'm really looking forward to that triple threat tag team match. And as we've noticed, AEW is really, really focused on tag team wrestling. And pretty much almost every single match except 2 tonight were singles matches. I mean, tag team matches. Because after that was the Rio and Shanna versus Emi Sakura and Jamie Hayters, which we figured out. I think I figured out yesterday that it was Riho versus Emi Sakura, which Emi Sakura trained Riho. That'll be at Full Gear for the AEW Championship, mentor versus student. I wish they really would have spent some time building this up and given us a reason why Emi Sakura's getting this title shot, because we didn't really, there was no contenders really built up, actually. They just kind of seemed like it just threw Sakura in there because there was kind of already a built-in story as the teacher versus the student. But that's my take from it. But I thought there was an awesome closing sequence in the pinfalls from this match, actually, as Sakura and Riho do have a lot of chemistry from what I realized. Is they probably faced each other many, many times back when they were in Japan. But yeah, the finish of this was really fun with the continuous roll-ups and such. And Sakura actually gets a win over her student, sets up a redemption story for Riho to get her win back and retain her AEW World Women's Championship at Full Gear. But I think it should be a good match between Riho and Sakura, since they've worked together. They probably worked together many times before. But I wish they just kind of would have built that story up a little bit more and give us a reason why Emi Sakura is really getting the match. And then there was another Brandy video kind of setting up her brains and brawn combo with Awesome Kong. It was effective. I'm starting to figure out what Brandy's actually doing. So, but all right, it was all right though. And then there was Brandon Cutler versus Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard. I felt like this was kind of just thrown in there without any rhyme or reason, as we were trying to I know we're trying to set up the AEW Full Gear pay-per-view, kind of bring those stories to a crescendo. Well, build those stories up to Full Gear. This just felt like a kind of out of the blue kind of match. But Shawn Spears here showed off his mean streak. And Janela, they were building off after the match, as when Spears got the win with the Death Valley driver, he was trying to attack Cutler and hit him with the Death Valley driver on the chair. But Joey Janela came out and made the save, because Spears during AEW Dark tried to rip his tongue out with a pair of pliers or whatever. So, but I don't know, I just felt this kind of, weird vibe, kind of just didn't work for me in this show. It was an alright match, but it just didn't feel, it felt out of place to me, that's what I'll say. And then following that was the main event, Hangman Page and Omega versus Sammy Guevara with Chris Jericho, actually, with Jake Hager in their corner. There was a lot of chops in this match. Oh my goodness, I think that since they were in Flair country, they thought, all right, let's just throw out as many chops as possible, because Guevara was eating so many of them. But late in the match, Pac interfered, causing Page to take the Judas effect and take the loss. So kind of Pac getting a one-up on Page going into Full Gear. And then after this, it was just a complete melee of everybody, both factions just kind of going after each other. Because Moxley and Omega were standing in the ring at one time. And then Santana and Ortiz, they got involved or whatever. Everyone got involved, including the Bucks, MJF, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Moxley, and Omega. But it was a nice little brawl, kind of setting up all these feuds coming up. Feuds and matches coming up at Full Gear, kind of building the stakes and kind of bringing the heat to these matches, as both teams and everybody pretty much hates each other going into their match at Full Gear, kind of bringing that emotional draw in for people. But it was a very fun, chaotic brawl to end the show, and it makes you kind of get invested into Full Gear coming up this weekend. And that's it. I thought AEW was a really pretty good show, other than the one match, really, the Cutler-Shawn Spears match. Other than that, I thought this was a pretty good show, another really good outing from AEW this week. As final rankings for this week, I will go Monday Night Raw at number 3. It's starting to get closer. It's getting closer. It's working its way up. Not a bad show from them this week. Is just kind of hot and cold with certain stuff as they're building up to Survivor Series. NWA Powerrr put up another solid outing as usual, and then AEW Dynamite won the week for me. They had really good promo segments. And I forgot to mention, before I get done, the Jericho trolling the video promo, the video parody of Cody's video package that was seen on Dark just last night. And Virgil got in on that video package. That video was absolutely fantastic, ripping off what Cody's done. It was just amazing. And I loved how everyone in that video played their roles. It was just absolute gold, and it was just absolutely beautiful, and I absolutely loved every single moment of that parody video from Chris Jericho. But yeah, those two promo segments from Jericho and then Cody also, though the video segment from Jericho and then the promo from Cody were both very, very good. Getting everyone emotionally invested in these matches coming up at Full Gear this weekend. Really excited for that show. But yes, AEW wins the week for me. And then don't forget, I'll have my AEW Full Gear AEW Full Gear podcast up on Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts coming up this Sunday. Really look forward to giving that to you guys. But before I go, don't forget to follow me on the socials, Twitter and Facebook at SigDaddyWrestle. Also, if you haven't already, subscribed to my podcast, Sig Daddy's Wrestling Show, on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, and also Apple Podcasts. But that'll do it for me on this episode of Sig Daddy's Wrestling Show. Until next time, this is Sig Daddy signing off. Thanking you all for listening.